Thank you, Michael. Welcome, everybody. Going back and recapping our past game here with Iowa State. I was sure, had a great second half, I guess, in the way we played. The first half, we just some execution really on both sides of the ball. We're a little bit off. Iowa State came in, did a really good job, I thought, offensively of a lot of the short passing game and some of their run game. Initially moved the ball, then we made some adjustments, recognized it better, and really played great defense after the first quarter on. Offensively, again, started slow. Blake got injured, so we made the change. Trevor came in and really did a great job executing, a lot of our offense in the way he handled everything. I thought he was well prepared, handled it as well as he could have. Thought the guys around him really stepped up in the second half and the way we executed and moved the football, through the second half. Again, had some really good and big plays and solid plays in the kicking game. Jalen Saunders' punt return at the end of the first half was a big spark going in to halftime. And I thought for the most part through the day, our kickers, punters, all Michael Honeycutt again perfect on the day. Everybody hit the ball well. Jed Barnett punted well with the wind conditions the way they were. So a good solid game, and league hopefully can give us some momentum going up to Manhattan to play Kansas State this week. It'll be a difficult task. They really have played well the last 4 weeks. They've won 4 straight games. They're moving the football really well with 2 different quarterbacks. Really have kind of 2 different offenses with the quarterbacks in some aspects. Always play very fundamental, sound defense. So again, it'll be a big challenge going up there to play them in Manhattan.
Who's starting quarterback for you this week?
No need in presenting that. That's something I'm not gonna. Why would I give? So we're gonna.
What's your injury situation then?
Don't know that yet. Unsure about Blake until we get to practice, and unsure with the other guys until we get to practice. Who will be back and who won't. But the quarterback issue, it does us no possible good to define all of that today or Friday. So we'll just go into the game and hopefully have all of them ready.
Could you tell us what the injuries were, your guys that didn't play, Sterling and Gary Holden?
No, because they're likely to play again. And then, there's no sense in other people knowing what their injuries, are. So no.
Just because you're playing Coach Snyder and he doesn't like revealing much?
Yeah, let's blame it on Coach Snyder. He's not going to tell us who he's got hurt, so that's a good one. I have to use that.
You're going to wait, I guess, until Saturday to let people know who your starting quarterback is.
Right.
But assuming, like, practices this week, can you tell us if the competitions will be taking place this week?
There's competition every week. So, sure, there'll be competition.
Coach, in the games that's gotten away from Iowa State this year, they've given up, their run defense has given up a high number. What did you guys see in that second half that you're able to take advantage of?
Well, I wouldn't say, sometimes I think maybe all us coaches are given more credit at halftime than deserved in that we didn't come up with new plays. We executed better. We blocked better, backs patient for the holes better, quarterbacks had the proper read when to give it, when to pull it at different times. So there's a little bit of everything. I just feel overall and when you say we executed better, it isn't coach talk. We performed better, in how we managed our defense.
You're going to be prepared for 2 different quarterbacks going against Kansas State. Is it more tendencies which each one in there, and formations change a lot, or? It's
a little bit of each. Waters throws it. More than Sam's. That's probably obvious to everybody. And then by formation, there's percentages with each. So there's, they're a little bit different. So there's a lot to prepare for because of it.
How much have you seen of Sam's? Did you go back and see him earlier in the year? And if so, how much has he improved?
He's significantly in the way he's throwing the football, and they're giving him a lot more opportunities throwing the football, and it's been successful for him. So it's a challenge for sure.
I take it when people were doubting Kansas State after they lost to North Dakota State, were 2-4, that knowing Coach Snyder as you do, you weren't among that crowd.
Heck no, I knew, and I think people discount what a good football team North Dakota is. When you look, they haven't lost, I don't believe, have they? Or, they're an excellent team, and I knew, as you go through the year, Kansas State, Coach Snyder, their staff, they'll continue to improve, and they have, but by the way they work, and they're all great coaches, and they've got good players, so they've just continued to progress, and especially it's really taken off, in these last 4 weeks.
How well did Tapper play when he came back into the second half?
He had a great game once he was in. He was incredibly disruptive. Charles, again, when he was in there, just creating pressure, getting tackles. He had an excellent game the whole second half. He played most of it.
It's almost like the line of scrimmage changed when he came back.
He's a difference maker in there for sure. Our players of the game, I guess I should have said that, defensively were Dominique Alexander and Frank Shannon, those two guys. Jalen Saunders on special teams and Derek Woods. And then offensively, the Aaron Ripkowski in the offensive line. All 6 of those guys were our kind of players of the game.
How much and in what ways has Dominique Alexander improved?
Mostly in all his being assignment correct. He's just getting more and more comfortable with offense, the offenses that we're seeing and where he needs to be, with the different calls that we're making. But he has played well, virtually every week.
Talk about Trevor against Iowa State compared to Trevor in the first 2 games of the season.
Yeah, it's natural in that in the first 2 games of the season to now, he did look much more comfortable in the situation in this game against Iowa State, and and probably performed that way. And not surprising to us. Here you are, whatever it is, 8 weeks down the road. You continue to practice, and you continue to to get better as you go, as you go through the year, and then when and I think it's almost here it is. He gets a chance to do it again, and he's more familiar with it, knows what to expect, and handled it, handled it great.
Before the Iowa State game, you had kind of described Kendall's situation as not being his fault, but he really wasn't in the mix. Is he? Well, it changed after a week.
It's not that he's not in the mix. It's just that we're not going to go and just try it out now and see how it goes. We just don't do that. So in the end, he's been doing a great job, and we intentionally may be different than other years where we have given our 2s. When I say 2s, Kendall and Trevor, daily or different situations, you're going to take all the 2s today. You're going to take them all tomorrow. So we're giving them more snaps than we have in the past, maybe with some other guys. And so they're, so he's been in the mix, and will continue to be, so we'll have him ready to play. And he did a great job when he got in there the other day.
But seeing him in the game, does it? I mean, I know what you know in practice that nobody else does. But
yeah.
Does seeing him do it in the game, does that change your thoughts on?
Definitely, in that we've been comfortable and felt Kendall when he has his opportunity will handle it well. And he went in there and did, and it to no surprise to us. We felt, he's a talented guy. He's got confidence, and he went in there and did a nice job.
You said that you didn't want to ride the roller coaster like everybody else after the game on Saturday, but hasn't the offense sort of been a lot up and down, or have you seen it?
Well, sure different? It has. Obviously it has. That's statistically you can point that out, right?
Sure. So, I mean, how do you feel like when you're saying that? What are you talking about when you say you don't want to ride the roller coaster? Do you mean
I don't remember what the question was, but if you can rephrase the question, I'll tell you why I said that.
I think it was in relation to making a switch at quarterback.
Well, I don't know that was the question, so I don't want to go back to Saturday post game.
Bob, the first quarter, you've been a slow starting team, particularly on the offense. Any thought there?
It's frustrating. We have been, and you know, we've done different things. We've even practiced to start a practice. We've gone a tempo period, trying to start fast. It's, you know, we just haven't executed real well right out of the start. You know, it's hard to say why. You know, it really is, because then all of a sudden it's clicking and you haven't changed anything. So,
Coach, Iowa State's a school that you can trace back to your playing days. You've been fortunate enough to go undefeated against them as a head coach. What do you remember about the tussles you had as a player with Iowa State?
Boy, that's a long time ago. Initially, we always had good, tough games with them. I remember back in those days, they, and especially early on, you know, beat us. But my first year there, everybody beat us. So, and then, I don't know, and then I guess once we started winning there my junior and senior year, I'm trying to think back. I'm not even sure what those games were, but we always had tough games with them.
Will you admit that winning or becoming the winningest coach against Bill Snyder at Kansas State would be special?
No, not in those terms. I would definitely winning, you know, there would be great for our season and for this season. You know, for all those reasons. You know, outside of that, you know, Coach Snyder and I aren't going to play. You know, so we've got, you know, teams and staffs and a bunch of people, you know, working with us, and it'll be one team against the other.
Sanders had, of course, a great punt return. How much have you really tried to return this year? Has that been
all the time, mostly.
I mean, is it?
Well, what people forget or don't fail to realize, it's just like when they were punting into the wind. When you don't always have returnable balls. If they hang them up in the air, if they're short, if you know, punters are intentionally kicking them away from you or hanging them especially high, you don't have opportunities to return. So we've done a really good job when we have had opportunities.
You talk a little bit about Jalen's impact in just 19 games playing for you.
Jalen's had a huge impact. He's been a great player for us, an explosive player, consistently, you know, a very consistent player too. In that every week he performs well and he plays hard and always has that ability to make big plays.
When you're having success getting outside, running the ball, does it open things up inside to run?
Yes, it does. You know, the threat on the perimeter always affects, you know, your abilities inside. You know, to a degree. You know, you know, some defenses it might not affect all that much.
Is it a disadvantage that Kansas State and OSU see in practice quite a lot? Some option stuff that now you do quite a bit?
I don't know as much as a disadvantage in that, you know, but you know, they're familiar with it from their own offenses to a degree. But you know, even if you're not seeing it every day in practice, you're still going to work it all week, and you know, defensive coaches know where they want their people to be. But you know, to some degree, you know, the players' familiarity with it. You know, the percentage of them, you know, not being where they're supposed to be goes down, and that they're a little more consistent with their reads because they've, as you're saying, they've had experience with it on a daily basis.
Coach, Iowa State shuffled quarterbacks in and out a couple of times on that touchdown drive. What do you do differently, if anything?
You must be from Ames.
Close, Cedar Rapids.
You got a lot of Iowa State questions.
Close, Cedar Rapids.
All right.
How do you treat that? And then after that initial touchdown drive, what did you do differently after that?
We didn't treat them, their quarterbacks, at all differently because we didn't feel the style of offense changed at all. So we didn't feel that was an issue. And all we did after the one drive is we just settled in and recognized, you know, what they were trying to do quicker, better, and covered it better or got in position better, whether it be the run or some of the short passing game. We just, you know, we squeezed it, played it tighter, didn't miss a tackle maybe when they caught a short ball. Again, just performed a little bit better.
Any part of your running game, just Brandon Green getting used to taking over for Trey Miller?
Hopefully that keeps coming. You know, Brandon and Aaron, you know, just their roles that they'll, you know, continue to be consistent and play better. But, you know, they have to step up and they've got to be a factor for us.
I mean, you look at the quarterback changes, losing Trey. You've run the ball this season as well as you ever had at times. Is it disappointing from the standpoint that you haven't really been able to develop that attitude or chemistry when you know the offensive line can be really good running the football?
And you're saying
that because they've had to go through quarterback changes, they've had to go through losing Trey Miller, a big part of what they do.
It's made it challenging, you know, and again, I guess it's made it challenging, and it's just frustrating that in a couple of games we haven't been as good as maybe we think we could be.
How'd your secondary play without Colvin?
They played really well. All those guys in the secondary really had good games, and you know, very few mistakes. You know, they all played really well.
You addressed this a little bit earlier with Dean's question, but in terms of the slow starts, you say to us it's a matter of execution. We executed in the second half. Can you only bury yourself in execution to work it out, or do you try to figure out why are we starting slow? I mean, is something going on? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
well, we have looked at it, and we've tried to change up even how we've practiced, or that, you know, or some things like that. But in the end, so you want to say, you know, look at all these different runs in the second half. What did we do differently? We didn't do anything differently. We blocked them better, you know, as I said. So to say that there was some magical formula that you could, you know, there isn't one. You have to play better.
One of the great sports cliches is a team that comes out or fails to come out ready to play. Do you ever feel like that's an issue when you see this in the first?
I don't. I don't feel that's the case. Our players are, you know, we're ready to play, and sometimes it just happens at a quicker time than others.
What were your thoughts on how Trevor threw the ball? Do you think he's settling in a bit better?
I do. I believe he's more confident throwing the football and more comfortable doing it, and I think that'll just continue to get better and better the more he does it.
Can you talk about Sterling Shepard and the importance of having him because of his ability to make plays, whether they're short balls and easier balls to throw? Or
yeah, Sterling's missing him last week. It was another challenging part of our preparation. Sterling is a consistent big play guy in that he can catch short, make long plays out of short plays, and with his speed, his quickness, all of those things, he's a big play threat, and not having him, affects you in a pretty strong way.
Watching Kansas State this year, they've always praised Coach Snyder, and so have you, about the way he leverages things on offense and blocks it. They say he's even come up with more things this year. When you watch them, is he still reinventing the wheels on how he run blocks and things?
Absolutely. They'll be 75% through a run play, and all of a sudden they throw it, and then I've seen I've never seen a quarterback screen before, but they even got a quarterback screen where they got all the linemen pulling out on the weak side, where usually you throw it to the back. Well, now he just uses the back to pin the end, and there goes the quarterback running around the screen. So, he always has a different wrinkle.
How much did you look at Kansas State, knowing you're changing the offense some in the offseason, and pick up some of the things that Coach Snyder does there?
Oh, a little bit. A little bit, just in that they've always, and with Colin Klein, they had so much quarterback run games. So we watched it to some degree.
Why didn't Trey Franks play on Saturday?
He had the flu. Came down with it that night. Had a few other guys had it too, but were able to get IVs and work their way through and played, part of the game.
You mentioned earlier that the coaching staff sometimes gets too much credit for making adjustments at halftime. But on the defensive side, there obviously was some adjustments that the defensive staff came up with because they played a much better defensive game in the second half.
Well, again, we performed better. We didn't change defenses. We didn't change what we were doing. On one of the run plays, we changed up how one of our guys was going to attack it, and that made a difference. Then outside of that, it's just getting the players to understand the few plays they had. This is why we got out of position, and they understood that, and then that was it. And then we were able to stay in position the rest of the time. Okay.
Thank you.